This is a topic that really doesn't require much introduction, so I'll just really get right to it. This is the Switch 2. I mean, of course it is, what else could it be? It's been around for like 3 months now, which is kind of crazy to think about, but if you've had one for a while, you might know of a small issue that a lot of reviewers have referred to as poor ergonomics. And I mean, yeah, I can definitely agree with that. It's lovely, it's super thin, and I really appreciate that, but it is kind of crampy and tight. So if you're like me, you've probably been on the market for grips, and there's so darn many that there's so many reviews, but I've found some of them to be either inconsistent or just really quick of like putting on the grip and being like, look, like I like this, I don't like this, and just, I've needed a bit more like testing, and I've done that with the grips that I'll be discussing today, but and I guess there are a few requirements for grips when I buy that I feel are worth discussing. Those being that I pretty much want detachable Joy-Cons. I don't like them being stuck to the console, especially just because I take them off a lot for certain games. Dockability is very important to me. I play docked pretty often for a good number of the games that I play. I want access to the kickstand, and I don't like the idea of adhesive and plugging or just having permanent solutions for grips. In case something better comes out, and I just don't like the idea of sticking something on my console. So there definitely are a lot of grips that disqualify. So if unfortunately you're looking for me to talk about, say, the Neo grip or the Zen grip, unfortunately I won't have those. I won't really be discussing those. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But without further ado, I guess there's not really much else to talk about, so I guess we'll get started. Before I really get into the grips, though, I did want to mention two products that I have been a really big fan of so far, and the first one is these thumb grips. These are the Skull & Co. Savage Raven brand ones. These are really nice. They come with 3 when you buy them. They come with a very small one that kind of just kind of covers the grip. It doesn't really do much necessarily or add any kind of shape to it. Just kind of makes it a bit grippier of a texture. There's kind of a second one, which is the one I use. It's a very like built-in shape with this kind of circle. Reminds me of like a peanut butter cup, honestly. And I like these a lot. I like the little hole in the center. They're very comfortable. Feels very nice on the hands. And there's a very big bulky one. It's been all right, but not my favorite. But I could definitely see it for some people, just not for me. Last time I checked, they were actually $10 on Amazon, which is a really good deal. And if you're in the market for thumb grips and are like, I don't know which ones to get, I definitely would recommend these. These are really great, especially for the price point. The second product that I actually would recommend is the Pro Controller. It is pretty expensive at around $85, I believe. I'm not sure if it's more or less. I could be wrong. If it is, I'll probably put a note on video saying how much it actually costs. This is really great. It's got very clicky buttons. Like it's like a soft clicky tactile. I really like it. The sticks are very soft and very like movable. I'm a fan. It's really hard to describe it without having one. I wish I could just give it to you and let you feel it, but unfortunately I can't. You get these nice trigger buttons at the back, just the typical controller stuff. You get all the buttons, the screenshot, game chat, You also get a headphone jack. I really like this. I play docked at a computer every now and then, and it's really neat to just be able to plug my headphones straight into this controller and have them available. There's also remappable buttons on the back, which I'm also a big fan of. They just add, like I don't use them that often, but the only game I've really found myself using them in is in Pokemon Scarlet. I like using this second remappable button for the plus button. If you play, you probably know that you use that button a lot for stuff, and it's just easier to have it here than there. And I used this one to emulate the left stick like click button, and I found that to be fantastic as well. So this is a great controller. It's very expensive, but if it's in your budget and you just want something really premium and appreciate having like ecosystem stuff, this is great. I can't recommend this enough. Especially if you get it on sale or find it resold, or you have discounts or something. Definitely look into this one. I can't recommend it enough. So onto the actual grips now. The first one I have is from a brand BHGift. This is just a grip that I found. I'm gonna be honest, I think this is just like a one-off of the one of the Spigen grips. I'll put a picture of that Spigen grip in question on video now, but it's kind of got like those like Killswitch-esque like strong like contour for like the middle finger to rest it. It's actually a really nice grip, honestly. I was very pleasantly surprised by this one. I used it for a pretty long time. Something I like is this little palm rest right here. It's not a lot, but it just adds a nice little bit for your like hands to go, and it is relatively comfortable. It's decent material. It's kind of like a rubbery, like soft, but it feels nice in the hands. It molds to the hands very well. I used this for a long time. I just wasn't a big fan of the detachable Joy-Cons, and I will be retiring this one, but if that's not an issue for you, I really like this. It's a very affordable option. I think it's maybe like around 20 something dollars. I think I got it on sale for maybe like 19 something, but it's a great deal. If not having detachable Joy-Cons is an issue for you, I definitely would recommend looking into this one, especially with like what's been going on with the deep brand grips. So yeah, this is great. So next up, I have this grip from, I don't know if it's JSAUX. This is actually a bundle grip. It's this charging grip. You might have seen it before. It mostly just attaches to the Joy-Cons and you could charge. It's great for like the deep brand Killswitch. I've seen a lot of people use it for, since you can attach any Joy-Con to it without having, you know, the base grip that Nintendo gives you when you buy your Switch. It's great for that. But there's recently been a bundle that includes these kind of extra grips. They're very like deep brand Killswitch-esque, as you could tell. They kind of have like the grip, and these are pretty decent. These are also pretty affordable, maybe around 20 something dollars. And again, these go on sale a lot too, especially on Amazon. They're pretty decent grips overall, honestly. The material's not bad. I will say one major drawback of these and why I feel like I can wholeheartedly recommend them is because they are like slippery. I don't know how to describe it. Like, the build quality is a little cheap for my liking. Like, it's kind of like this hollowly plasticky material that just feels kind of like scratchy. I don't know how to describe it. It's not uncomfortable, it's just very slippery, so I feel like you are kind of encouraged to put a tighter grip on it than some of the other grips that feel more, you know, like anti-slip. So definitely keep that in mind if you're looking into these. But grip-wise, they're not bad. You know, they fit. They're, you know, not that uncomfortable. They do not have the that little palm rest that those BHGift ones that I just discussed do, so I think that might be a drawback. But they're not that bad. There's no adhesives or anything, so you're getting a pretty good deal here. If you're just after grips and, you know, quality isn't really an issue for you, then these aren't bad. I could actually recommend these under a few circumstances, or if you're just on a budget and you just want something on your Switch, this is great for that. So I guess the next grip, we'll move on. So moving along, the next grip I want to talk about is the JSAW like split grip. This is actually a really nice grip, like especially for the grips alone. If you're just after the most comfortable grips, I'm gonna say right now these are probably your best bet. I do have a couple things to say, so if you want to stick around for my full review of these, you know, just stay. But these are really nice. They have like, they're kind of more of like a generic like grip, like that's just like a video game controller compared to the like the other grips I talk about that have like the very like, you know, molded shape. They're pretty comfortable though. They have a very big palm rest. Not every grip does that, and I very much appreciate that when they do. It just makes it very comfortable to hold. They fit in the hands very nicely. Your hands kind of just grip around them, and they're really nice. It's also more of a bundle compared to the last grips. This is actually kind of a you get this, you get these grips, but you also get a back plate, which is quite nice. You can see that here. I personally wasn't a big fan of this. Like, I'm just not a fan of like the design and the, you know, like I don't even know what kind of like, it just wasn't really my thing. The material's not really that great as well, and it kind of just tugs off a little easier than I'd like, so keep that in mind if you're considering this. But again, for the price point, it's not that bad. It also comes with a travel cover that I'll put on. I have over here, and it has game cartridge holders, which is really neat. The main thing I wasn't a big fan of with these is that they're kind of hard to pull out. Not impossible, just, you know, you kind of got to pull hard with your thumb and just, you know, oh, like that. It's not too bad, but like I noticed when I got it, some of them it's a little inconsistent, but it's a little bit more effort than I like. And once you get kind of used to it, it's not as bad, but that was just something I wasn't a huge fan of personally. So let me just get this back in here. There we go. And as you can see, if I just shut this off real quick, the console kind of just slides right in like this. Whoops, I'm not a fan of that sound. So as you can see, you know, you kind of just plop it on like that. And there you go, you kind of have like this full protective case for your Switch just to throw it in a bag, and it's super low profile compared to some of the other things, and I think that's really good, honestly. This is great. Although I will talk about the drawbacks. I've kind of mentioned them before, but one I noticed particularly from gameplay myself was that these grips are really heavy. They're not hollow at all, and they're kind of dense. They add a lot of weight to the Switch, and you will notice yourself kind of like adjusting it, and it might lead to some tension and just general like uncomfortableness. So take that in mind if you consider these, although I think for what you're getting and Just based off of pure comfort, I think for now, these are probably the ones that I would say just go for them. If you're only watching because you're like, I just want a comfy grip, just get these. You're not really gonna be disappointed. So yeah, that's the JSAUX split case. Really good stuff. So last but definitely not least, the last grip I'll be talking about is the Genki Attack Vector. This is the most expensive and the most premium grip. It's about $60, so definitely requires a lot more, I guess, discussion and criticism regarding like the product itself compared to the others. So without further ado, might as well get started. But these grips are actually the most unique of the bunch. They're detachable, which I love, but a very unique feature about these is that they actually have interchangeable grips. So I have the feather ones on right now. They're alright in my opinion. They're just really light and don't really add much to grip onto. And I mean, I don't really see much of a reason to use these unless you have small hands. And I mean, look, if you do, then go you. But these just aren't for me. They're way too small, but they actually do provide other grips, which I will put on right now. I'll demonstrate right now, but just for, you know, showing how it works, this is the grip itself. It's kind of super light and just has these little pieces on here. And right here is the grip. This is the balance grip, they call it. This is like a medium-sized grip, and I'll just demonstrate, but it kind of just clicks in place like this. Once you kind of, you know, okay, let her know from editing me, believe it or not, trying to do stuff with a big microphone in front of you and trying to keep stuff on camera actually makes everything a bit more tricky. So I struggled a bit with getting these grips on. I promise they're not that hard, especially once you get used to it, but yeah, enjoy footage of me struggling to get it on while I talk over it. There we go. So it kind of clicks in place. It takes a minute sometimes to get it to really go in, but that's just how you put them on. So yeah, I'll be back in a sec with the other grip on. So next up is the balance grips. These are kind of like the medium grips, as I mentioned. These are pretty big and they have a very huge palm rest, which I really like. And they're kind of just molded like this. They don't really have a particular mold to them, which, you know, may or may not be something that you like or dislike. But, you know, as for texture, it's really, really hard to describe them, but it's kind of like a rubbery, like, soft material. There's, like, definitely some kind of, like, tactility as I rub them. Like, you could definitely feel like a texture. There's also this rubber on the back, that kind of, I guess it just holds your fingers in place while you're holding onto the grip, which is really nice. Feels pretty premium overall, and I like this grip. But, you know, I don't know how to describe it. It's definitely not like the other grips where they kind of are molded to your hand. This kind of feels, I guess, like, I don't know, it's like, I guess the Switch, but if they made it big and gave you palm rest, if that makes any sense. Like, they're not molded to the hand in any particular way. Like, there's no grips or any, like, thickness to it, but it is surprisingly comfortable. This is the one I've been using the second most. It's not bad. Like, there's really nowhere for your pinky to go, which when I talk about the next grip will make a bit more sense, but these aren't bad. You know, but moving on to my last grip, which will be the anchor grip, so I'll get those on real quick and come right back. So lastly, these are the anchor grips. These are personally the Attack Vector grips that I've been using the most, and they're actually really nice, honestly. So I'll just kind of put this down again, and this is what they look like. They're a bit more molded at the back. You can see they kind of arch, and then they have like a little lump here. So ideally, you'd be putting your pinky here and then wrapping like that. I don't know how well that'll show on camera, but yeah. And these are actually pretty nice. All these grips are very lightweight, which I'm a big fan of. They don't really add much weight to the Switch at all, and I think that's really important when you're holding onto one for gameplay, and I haven't really had many issues with this grip. This is the one I intend on keeping. It's really nice, and it's just the one that I found has the least, like, I guess, pros to cons, and, you know, overall works for me the best. Though overall, I will say, these grips are really hard to recommend just on a general baseline. That's just because these are very much grips I feel designed for people with big hands. If you have big hands, these are really great, and I actually would recommend looking into them. You know, they're just nice and big. You have a lot of palm space with them, and they just kind of feel very molded to the hands. And I've actually seen that Genki is working on new grips. As I said, they're interchangeable, so they do have more coming out eventually. I'll probably cut in a couple seconds and just show you those since I haven't seen much coverage of them. Okay, so here's just a picture from either PAX West or Gamescom where they were testing these grips in person. If you look at the bottom of the table, there's a couple of grips that have white on them. Those are the prototypes for the ones they're working on now. And the next picture will have more detailed ones that I'll be showing you. So here's just a better look at the grips overall. From left to right, you could see starting a kind of D-brand grip-esque one, you know, with like the big trigger for your middle finger and just, you know, a lot of space to rest the rest of your fingers around. The one right next to that looks to be kind of similar to that, but it kind of gives like arches for every single finger to rest on, which could be very, very comfortable. Next to that looks like something similar to the one first up, but maybe a bit smaller. And the fourth one looks to be maybe, you know, just more of like a general grip like that you might see on like a video game controller, or just a more like rounded shape overall. I believe there's a fifth one in the works as well that might be like the feather grip that I discussed earlier, but just a bit bigger overall. So that's pretty much all the grips that they seem to be working on. In addition, if you notice, there's little erasers behind them in like cups. Those are kind of just votes, I believe, based on how popular they were. So the ones that have more erasers were really well received and the other ones weren't so much. And lastly, if you're just curious about a release date, as I said, there isn't a set one yet. The most that we've gotten from Genki so far is that they seem to be scheduling for the holiday season, which is probably the end of this year. So there's still quite a while till they come out, and it'll probably be even longer till they ship and arrive. So definitely hold in for them if you're interested. I wouldn't recommend just getting them for the sake of what may or may not come, since the grip you're looking for may not even make it through the prototype testing. That being said, I can honestly see these being competitive for one of, if not the best Switch grip, just because of how versatile they could be if they keep on making all these different shapes and stuff. So two other things I just failed to mention while in the previous cut were that this also comes with a travel cover. These I believe got remade, so they had the same thing with like the Killswitch where there was some issues that released and they had to go and fix them. So when they did, they came out with this travel cover. So I'll put that on real quick. Let me just do that, and it just slides on. Whoops. Oh, like that, and it's nice. It's very it doesn't have like those extended pieces like the JSAUX one I'll show you right here. Like this one kind of had these like little, I guess, extendable parts. You can see that where, you know, kind of accommodates for the grips or the joysticks and the buttons. This doesn't have that, unfortunately. Like you could kind of see, you know, right here you might be able to see that like the thumbstick is kind of just coming through the grip, and the same here. I'm not a big fan of that, but I haven't had any issues. I've used this travel cover and I haven't had problems, as I said, so I don't think it's the end of the world. And another thing is that if you do like this grip and you do end up getting this one, I would definitely recommend looking into buying it on Amazon. I've looked around on like the Genki subreddit, and I've seen many people saying that they just haven't had their grip come yet, and that, you know, there's just a lot of, I guess, customer service issues. So if you get these, definitely grab them off Amazon, because I ordered these last Saturday and they were here literally within 24 hours. So if you're looking for them, definitely do that. But yeah, that'll be pretty much be everything. And I'll be cutting to some just final words before ending off this. So somehow while recording, the idea of even talking about the like backplate completely like missed me. So I'll just leave my 2 cents on it quickly. It's fine. There's not really much to say. My main 2 things I think worth noting is, one, if you look, there's a battery pack on. That's because this grip actually comes with a MagSafe ring. That way you could attach stuff to it. I was kind of mixed on this. On one hand, it's really, really cool, but on the other hand, the battery pack that I was using was like making the Switch very heavy to use. So that was a pretty big drawback for me, and I'm not sure how useful it is. Genki sells one and you don't get it, so maybe theirs is better than the one I was using, but I just thought that'd be worth noting. Another slight drawback was that for some reason, I guess the game card holder would keep getting stuck on like the way the case was built. Like when you kind of try to pop open the game card, like it just gets stuck and you'd have to like kind of wiggle it out of the case. I don't know how to describe it. Like it's just, you know, it's weird, but it happens. However, on the other hand, if you're looking for dockability, this case is dockable even with the backplate, and it has no issues docking. It is a bit tight, but it works. So that's pretty much everything. We went through a couple grips today, and yeah, I actually do have the D-brand Killswitch grips coming in pretty soon. I plan on doing kind of just a multi-part series, I guess, where I talk about these grips and try to just give like objective opinions on them. So if you liked what you saw today, then consider sticking around, because I plan on doing more of this. And if you actually didn't know how to order the D-brand Killswitch grips by themselves, which you can now, I'll be putting a part in shortly that shows you where you could do that. So I've seen a couple people asking like where you go about doing that, so I guess it'd be worth it to come on the website and actually show you. So I'm here right now, but if you just scroll down a little bit and we come right here, you'll see right here it says I don't need the case. If you just click on that, you'll be sent right here. And you can actually order things individually now, so if you just want the skins, you can get those, but since I'm not really interested in those, I'll click off. And then if you just click right here where it says extra joy lock clips, they're $20, which is actually a fantastic deal. I'll spoil it a bit, but I got them I actually ended up grabbing them from Best Buy, which is like, wow, I didn't expect that. I have the whole Killswitch, so I do have a video coming in probably next week after I really get to test these grips and give a review on them. But to spoil that, like, this is a fantastic deal, honestly, and these will probably be one of my highest recommended grips. But if you're just curious, like you just want the grips, this is how. And as I said, the Killswitch is actually coming to Best Buy. This is a picture I have up of the listing from September 5th. It's gone already. Basically what happened was this was put up by accident way too early by Best Buy. Dbrand is intending to have these go live on September 12th online, and then I believe the week of September 14th to September 19th in actual stores. So these will be available for purchase a lot more easily, like incredibly soon. Since I have this package, as I said, everything is included here except the skins and the screen protectors. If neither of those are really of interest to you and you're okay with spending $80 for them for how quick and easy they'd be able to get, this is actually a pretty good deal. And as I said, my Killswitch review will probably be coming in hopefully within another week or two. I just want more time to have a thorough testing, and that'll be live as soon as I feel ready to talk about it. But overall, we did talk about a few grips today. The BHGift one, which was pretty nice and very recommendable if you just want something and don't care about detachable Joy-Cons. It's really good for that. We talked about the JSAUX ones. I'll put those up right now. And these are pretty decent. They're very slippery, as I said. Material is a bit hollow and not my favorite, but they're pretty comfortable. These are somewhat recommendable if you just need a grip. These are very decent for, you know, just something. We discussed the JSAUX ones. I'll pull those up. The split case grips. These are pretty decent as well, as I said. Probably the one I'd recommend the most if you're just after a grip. Pretty comfortable. They're a bit heavy, which I'm not a huge fan of, and you know, I'm just not a fan of the general like build, so points off for that. However, these grips are really recommendable, and if you're okay with paying a bit more for a full kit just for these grips, I could definitely recommend them. And lastly was just the Genki attack vector. I've taken the grips off for now just to have this lie flat, since I do have the like the shell on for the grips, but this is okay, I guess. It's extremely subjective compared to the rest of the grips. If you have big hands and you felt like the grips are kind of small and crampy for you, I definitely would recommend giving these a shot, since they are really nice and big in your hands. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. I will have these grips, and I have played with them for a decent amount of time, so if you do have anything you would like to know about these and are on the fence about ordering, please let me know. I'll try and get back to you. But if you liked what I had to say, then I don't know, consider sticking around, because I do intend on discussing this and just technology. This will probably be my first upload, so constructive criticism against what I said and discussed is very much appreciated. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.